Hey guys, welcome to my home. This is a bit of a different change of setting. I know I'm usually posting up videos where I'm in weird and crazy locations with crazy people in the background, but this is my home, so I wanted to try out something different. If you do like it, make sure to leave a like in the thing below. If you don't like it, make sure to leave a like in the thing below. If you don't have an opinion either way, make sure to leave a like in the thing below. Yeah. So, more and more people I'm finding are learning to settle in their relationships. And what I mean by settling is that they get to a point and they don't want to be disappointed, but they don't want to be too disappointed. So they decide it's easier to stay in a relationship rather than working on it. And the more I meet people and the more I find more about people, it's very interesting to see that there's this common situation that happens. They get into a relationship with someone, either whatever form it is, I don't really mind for this purpose of this conversation. And after a while, what tends to happen is they have a certain expectation of what they want in a relationship, like they expect or they hope that a relationship might make them feel happy, which to me, that's the most obvious thing. But they also want a relationship. In order to feel happy, they might need to have time with that person, or they might need, gifts or whatever that person needs to feel happy. But unfortunately, over time, what happens is that they don't get that from their partner. And so then they start looking elsewhere and they start just assuming that maybe it's okay not to get that from my partner. And I speak this because it is a common situation. So for example, if you're seeing a guy who might need space, you might then realize, hey, maybe wait a second, he needs space, so I just need to move away from him. And then that doesn't make you happy because in the end, what you want is you want to feel like that connection and to share his space to feel connected. Another example might be that you want to be able to share something with your loved ones. And if you don't get that time to express that with them, then you don't feel loved or you don't feel that there's that strong connection. But he, on the other hand, might feel that every time you want to tell him everything that you love about what's happening in your day, he might not necessarily feel that that's really supportive of him because he's got some job or he's got some sense of independence that he's holding on to. So in the end, you learn not to do those things to make him happy, but then that doesn't make you happy. And there's two ends of the spectrum here. The first end of the spectrum is, it's always really good to go into a relationship and to learn about the other person. And to learn that maybe there's a way that if you were to see the world from his eyes, that you could learn something new and it would be really fucking amazing. But on the other hand, there's the other end of the spectrum. And I always refer to this as a beautiful tension, where more often than not, there's two seemingly inconsistent ideas or ideas that contradict each other. But when you put them together, they kind of rub together and make this beautiful friction, and that's where the sweet spot is. In one end of the spectrum, you have where you could learn something new about someone else and learn something new about yourself. On the other end of the spectrum, we have where you need to feel like you're loved, where you need to feel that sense of connection. And if you don't get that, that's not going to make you happy. Now, I know I've written an article about this as well, link in the description, but I know that in order to make a guy feel happy, you need to make him feel like a man. You need to make him feel like a protector. But if you're not feeling protected, if you're not feeling that sense of love, you need to fill your cup first, essentially. Like, you can't try and help someone else unless you actually feel helped and you actually feel loved. So if you're not feeling like you're in a relationship right now that is making you feel that way, ask yourself the question. And I asked this to someone and it changed their way of thinking. If you had a friend who was going for the Olympics, would you tell them would you say, hey, go for the Olympics, train every day, work hard at it, and get the best results you can? Or would you say, hey, maybe you shouldn't train for the Olympics because maybe you might get disappointed? Because that's the mindset that actually happens. If you're in a position where you're sacrificing what makes you feel loved for the other person, that's just because, and this is not for everyone, but for most people it's like this. That's just because that it's too easy to be disappointed, and so we just never try. Or if we were to ever actually put ourselves in a situation where we might get what we want, things might change and we're not used to it. Because there's two ends of that spectrum. And I want to give you now one quick thing that you can do to your relationship which should set it on the right path. Because if you're not feeling that love and you're starting to retreat and you're starting to affect your behavior, what's going to happen is that's going to manifest in weird ways. And some people might look at this and say, hey, this is not really a big deal for me. But if you're watching this and you're even saying that this isn't a big deal, like if you're still watching at this point, then maybe there's a bit of a deal. If you're someone who's just learning, then that's cool. Like, you know, look at me dance, look at me dance, look at me dance. You can dance if you want to, and you can leave your friends behind. And if they don't dance, and if they don't dance, then they're no friends of mine. So here's one thing you can do. And it's incredibly important to learn this properly, but you need to discuss your feelings. Some people might say, hey, but you know, my feelings don't matter. I'm in a relationship. Shouldn't we compromise? All that kind of stuff. Never think compromise, always think win-win. If you're happy and they're happy, then that's amazing. That's 10 times better than if you're half as happy and they're half as happy. But how you discuss your feelings is in a particular way, and that's what we call an I statement. An I statement is when you tell them how you feel, not what they're doing. And I think I've mentioned this before in other videos, but this is incredibly important. It's one of the simplest ways of speaking that really gets the point across. And again, this is not any kinds of manipulation. This is what you will naturally do in a situation where you're actually feeling really stressed. Well, you will talk about your feelings. And to those people, again, who don't feel like their feelings are worth something, did you know that you mentally process pain, like physical pain, in the same way that you process emotional pain? So maybe, just maybe, your emotions are actually worth something or worth discussing. So with the example, if you need to feel like you're loved in a relationship, you need to share with that guy every day what you're discussing, or at least have the option to share with him and like celebrate with him. What you might want to say is like sit him down and say, hey, I'm just feeling that I'm unhappy. And he'll be like, why? And he'll be like, well, in this situation, what I'm feeling is that I don't have the option of discussing with you things. Well, you can talk to me anytime you want. That's okay. And now this is called holding the frame. Now I'm throwing in some extra things. This is all very important. This is all very nuanced. We hold your frame and come back to the I statement, because if he reacts, that's okay, but that's not what we're on about. You know, you don't want to get caught in the argument. You want to discuss what you actually want to discuss. So the I statement, then you say, that's okay. I know that that's what you're doing, but if you still do that, it still makes me feel this way. So what can we do about it? And that question, what can we do about it? You're not forcing any ideas in his head. You're actually suggesting an alternative. And he might come up with something, or he might even say something you've never even heard of, which is even better. In that situation, you're like, okay, well, I didn't even realize that you felt this way. Maybe we can do X, Y, Z. If he still hasn't actually come to that conclusion yet, or like whatever, it might still go where he might defend himself. That's okay. In that defensive situation, he might say something like, well, you never do this, because that's how the ego works. You know, if the first step is like we want to attack the person who's attacking us, then we want to say that other people are doing it this way, and then we say that we're not doing it. Regardless of all these reactions, you need to hold that frame and come back to the I statement. So if he then reacts, it's like, well, you never do this for me. It's okay, I understand that I never do this for you, but this is how I feel right now, and I'm unhappy, and I want to work things for the better. And the frame, again, just a little extra seed. This is all like, I'm going on a rant now. This is completely more than just one thing, and I don't really care. For me, this is all real. This is actually how it works. I don't really care about marketing stuff. I want to give you what works. And if you want to work with me, then that's okay too. The key here then is you come from the frame of you don't want to change things, you want to improve things. So what you're looking at is the future of your relationship. You're looking at next year, you're looking at the year after. And so you're coming from that wholesome frame. And some people I know, especially when they're arguing with their partner, what they want to do is they want to revert. They want to revert back to how it used to be. And that is, it's nice to know what used to be, but things change, people change. Like, look at me, I'm making a video in my own home. Like, my beard grows, like things change. Don't fight it, just accept that it's part of the motion, and that's like part of the fun in life. The frame you then come from is saying, hey, this is the future, this is what I want. It's like, well then, if that's the case, like I know maybe I haven't communicated as well, that's completely okay, but in the future, I want to feel this way in a relationship, and it would really make me happy if I was to feel this way. So what can we do about it? And you keep coming back to that. Anyway, if you're in this position, please comment below, whatever. If you're interested in further coaching, because this is something I don't actually talk about a lot, but coaching is actually really important. Like, did you know Richard Branson also has a coach? Richard Branson's coach tells him to like sit in his room for an hour just to like because he's like always buzzing from the world. But coaching is one of those things that's actually changed my life, and it's one of those things that I'm offering now. I do have this thing called the Academy, but as well, like, you can always email me directly. Email's in the description below, because what I want to do is be a support, because I find in a situation a lot of problems happen because we end up sabotaging ourselves. You know, a lot of people don't want it to go in a particular way, and so they go down that particular direction, and then they're afraid of someone cheating, then they cause that guy to cheat because of their behavior. Or they're just lacking the self-confidence in that situation. They don't know how to act. And so what's been amazing for me is having that support, and so that's what I'm offering as well, is that support. If you need it, I'm there for you. And it would be like a weekly thing or a every 2 weeks thing where we chat and we discuss what's actually going on in your life, particularly with your relationships, because people don't understand, but there are 3 phases to any relationship. There's meeting the guy, there's like hooking him, which is why it's get him hooked, and then there's actually creating explosive relationships. And this video here is kind of part of that realm, is creating a relationship that actually fulfills you. But if you're anywhere on that spectrum, because I know, I've coached people who are so shy that they can't even accept the compliment, and now all of a sudden they're going on crazy dates, or they're all of a sudden going on crazy dates, they're meeting all these amazing guys, but none of them are actually sticking around because of one reason or another, or they're in a relationship and they want to take it to the next level. They want to potentially get married, or at least have the option of that, and there's all of these fears and stuff holding them back. And so all those spectrums are so incredibly important. But if you're interested, let me know. Email in the description below. Global, if you're in Melbourne, I'm going to be offering something very specific, because that's where I'm based right now of this video, only right now. Be prepared. And yeah, make sure to subscribe for life and love and how the two come together. And see you in the next video. Harvey out.